I'm George Elvin. I'm an associate professor in architecture at Ball State University. I met with Joe Jarzin, who ended up being the project manager on the Pocket Park for Keep Indianapolis Beautiful, and simply went to them in the fall and said, you know, we'd like to work with you guys. We'd like to do some design build. And right away, Joe said, well, we've got a Pocket Park coming up in Meridian Park, and we'd love for you guys to do the play structure. Well, this project, the main two aspects that were really unique were that they had to build their designs and they had to, you might say, get their designs approved by this neighborhood association. Yeah, our first experience as a group on site was, of course, to visit the site of the park, which was just an empty lot at that point, and then also to get a tour led by sort of neighborhood leader, you might say, Joyce Moore.
When you're looking into a project, especially if we are able to visit the site for a project that we're doing, you definitely want to go out there and see what it's like, see what you're dealing with, what it kind of the lay of the land is, and how the footing is and everything.
You can look at a site on a sheet of paper, a syllabus, and say, okay, it's going to be really cool, like this is our proposed site. We've done it for 4 years. We've had sites out in the middle of nowhere that we go and visit and we say, okay, this is cool, but it was unique in the fact that something was going to be built there within the next 4 months.
You're building somebody's dreams, really. I mean, that's why somebody comes to you and says, I'd like you to do this, is because something's lacking in their environment, which usually means in their life, in a sense.
Imagine why Historic Meridian Park without a park, but and the number one was.
So we were able to kind of get a good feel for what it was going to be like and what kind of space we had, and get a good idea of that, and then we're really able to get a feel for the neighborhood as well.
You had not only very pristine and well-maintained, beautiful arts and crafts homes, but you also had boarded up homes that had been abandoned and were just sitting empty. It was a pretty remarkable mix that I think had a big impact on the students as far as, you know, that critical first question of who am I designing for? Because if you looked at the homes immediately surrounding the park, it might give you one idea about the neighborhood, but as you branch out, you see this very wide range.
And so the first day, I think, was down there was kind of exciting. We're really kind of starting to see, okay, this is where we're going to be designing. These are the people that we're designing for. That was the first time we really met up with the neighborhood association. An imagination station, I guess the way I think about it, it's kind of really up to individual interpretation. That was definitely something the neighborhood team was really pushing, and we were kind of trying to figure out what they were thinking that was. I think with design, sometimes clients will say, this is what we want, and they kind of have a vague vision of what they want, but they're not entirely sure what that looks like. And so part of what we do when we come in and work with clients is we say this is kind of help them like determine what that is, and sort of in a way tell them what that is, give them a vision.
They came in with this idea of a playscape, and a playscape to them and a playscape to us and a playscape to the children that are going to be using it are three separate ideas that we had to kind of cohesively knit together.
I think this probably blends in better with the look of the neighborhood.
We tried to make it as open to the imagination as possible, and at the same time make it very active for kids to run around, because this is a pretty dense neighborhood. Kids would have their yard and stuff, but this is an opportunity for them to get outside, get together and play. So we were really trying to balance both the active play, where kids can get some exercise and have some fun outside, and the imaginative play.
I think they really want to push kind of kids' creativity beyond just the normal swinging on swings and going on slides and really the physical, but they wanted to bring in the really creative elements to kind of expand the kids' minds as they play.
We had really ambitious ideas that took up 2/3 of the site, 1/3 of the site, and they were like, no, we really need to limit it to 1/4. You know, it's supposed to be the kids area within this overall park for the neighborhood. So being trained to do what we do, we kind of overdid what we wanted and then kind of pulled it back into a cohesive element that could fit into the park.
You have to work within constraints. Nobody's going to give you an unlimited amount of money to build a project with, or an unlimited amount of time to build it in. And so our job was to take the client's dreams and, you know, feed them back in a way in real materials.
We must have reevaluated how we were approaching the project 5 or 6 times. And, you know, looking back on it, I really think that was the right way to go about it, because it truly became the studio's design.
We were really in the middle of design, but that was important actually to, you know, get some dirt under our fingernails and start building some things to test the design ideas. So the Design Build Lab was not by any means just to build what we had designed, but it's actually an important part of the design process. Letting that construction, that hands-on experience kind of feed into the design process and develop the design based on their hands-on work with the materials, which is really critical and is typically left out of the design process in the studio.
The Design Build Lab really creates a unique space to be able to go in with a team, and we can like leave materials there, and there's like extra space to put things together. There's just like a lot more room and a lot more flexibility, and also you don't have like everybody coming in and out. A lot of tools and resources at our fingertips, which is really cool.
Design Build Lab is a dedicated shop with all the critical tools, the table saw, the chop saw, even have welding equipment and things where whole classes can go in, and that's exactly what we did, go in as a class and work together on design prototypes and then construction of those design ideas.
Trying to go down there and digging in the muddy earth was not as enjoyable as it could have been if it was sunny and 75 out.
And you can imagine the very different level of understanding when you start, you know, hefting beams and columns around, connecting them on site, and then you've got all those wonderful environmental factors like the wind and the rain and the sun. We're out there working in, you know, ice cold rain some days, and so again, you're not just sitting in the classroom, you know, thinking about these things, but you're experiencing them firsthand, and that's a whole different game.
Being able to see and help instruct other people on like, hey, this is how we do this properly. The tips and tricks that you don't necessarily know when you draw it really come through when you go down to build it. You know, you can't get the post perfectly squared off with the other 3 exactly however many inches apart you have it in your drawing because of what's in the soil and where you pour the concrete, just numerous things that affect how you've drawn it to how it comes out in real life. This one needs to go way right. Oh, like right there.
I guess I would describe my team as probably a lot of fun. We've all kind of been together since day one for the most part, since freshman year. That's something that's really cool about the architecture program, is that we kind of start off together and we grow, and it was really cool to be able to do a project like this, working in a team setting for our final semester. We all kind of bring something different to the table, have different talents as far as just how we design and how we think about things, or how we go about producing actual things to show people, or just how we think. And so I think we each brought a lot of different things to the table that was, I think, really great for this project.
It was great for the students to be part of that and to work through the design process and to help the neighborhood build their dreams. But it works both ways too, and the students wouldn't typically get the opportunity to build their dreams.